Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Rogers from Web Pieces. This is where we get to share different web development tips and get to unblock each other and get to share different bits in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Things that can help us write better code, things that can help us with making sure that our HTML is right, our CSS is right. Small tips here and there that will make your life better. So today we have a table of the latest movies, and we've got this description that has got quite some long text. So this long text can be clipped using the text overflow property, the CSS text overflow property. So if I told you in a situation or you're in a scenario whereby you would want to shorten your text, you've got this long description somewhere and it's quite long and you're confused or you do not know how to make that text shorter. So there are quite around 4 to 3 steps that you can use to make sure that this text is short and the user is not burdened with looking at all this information at once. So they will only be able to look at it when they need it or when someone hovers over any of this description. So our major goal today is to make sure that each description of these movies is first of all shortened, and we shall have an ellipsis. For example, for this first one, we shall only have this first sentence up to around where this thriller word is. But after this thriller word, we shall have an ellipsis. Those are like 3 dots that will indicate that there is more to this description, but the user will be only able to see it once they hover over this description. So let's jump right into our text editor and see how to go about this. Alright guys, I'm in my VS Code and this is my HTML right here. And this is my CSS or my style.css file. So when you look at this table, this is the table. We have these TDs that have our description, and what I've done is I've given each TD a class of description. So you can give your TD a class of description. As you can see, all of them have a class of description. So what we shall be doing is the first step is come in your CSS or your style.css file and create this class right here. So I named my description. I don't know how you named yours, but it could be anything. It could be a div that has got your description or long text, or maybe a contract of something, or anything that is really long and you wouldn't want your users to strain about seeing that long text. So I've created my class right here, my CSS class, and I've called it description. So I'll go ahead and start by first of all making sure that this text or this TD that has our description has got a fixed width, because in order for you to clip this text, you have to have a fixed width for this container in which this description is seated. So you'll find out that my description container requires a width. You can first of all hover over this container and get a clear image of how much space is it taking in terms of the width. So when you hover over it, you will get this sort of like tooltip that will tell you that this description is 321.36 pixels, as you can see. So what we shall do is we shall make sure that ours has a max width. I'll do a round figure. Has got a max width of 322 pixels. So this of course will have no sort of like any special effect, because we are just giving this a width that it will take. So once we get back, the next property that we shall be adding is white space. So you can add white space and give it property value of no wrap. So what white space does is it makes sure that your description is on one line and it's not taking up more than one line. So as you can see, our description is now misbehaving, and it's really going out of hand because of the other property that we've added of white space no wrap. So what white space no wrap does, as you can see in this site of W3 Schools, so just type white space in your browser and then add W3 Schools, and you'll be brought to this page right here. So this page will give you a clear description of what the white space property does. But what it basically does is it treats your text in a different way that you would want it to behave. For example, if you give it a normal value, the sequences of white space will collapse into a single white space. Text will wrap when necessary. So this is like the default. So just like you had seen initially, this white space property was on normal and our text was wrapping. So the no wrap will make sure that that text will never wrap to the next line. So that is what we've done right here. We've made sure that our text doesn't wrap to the next line or is not displayed on the next line. So this property really changes the game. And as we move forward, we shall be modifying this studio of ours to make sure that everything goes as planned. So the next property we shall be adding is called the overflow property. So as you can see, overflow, I'll give it a value of hidden. So overflow truly explains itself from the name. So the name is self-explanatory. So what overflow does is it makes sure that our text that was initially overflowing is now hidden. So just like you might be having any text that is quite long and you wouldn't want it to go past the boundaries of your container. So that means that you would have to hide that extra text that is going out of your container. So you can also visit W3 Schools. Just type Overflow CSS W3 Schools, and you'll be brought to this page whereby you get to see all these values that you can use. Visible. This means that your text will be visible even if it's overflowing beyond the boundaries of your container. And then if it's hidden, it won't be shown. So scroll, that means it will be shown, but there will be a scroll bar. So for us, we're only interested in the hidden property value because we would want our text that is overflowing to be hidden. So as you can see, for this first description, it only goes up to here, up to this star word. and then this other description only goes up to here, and then this other text is hidden. So this is possible because we have a max width. This TD is taking up a max width, and then we are making sure that our text doesn't wrap to the next line, and then we're also making sure that the text that is overflowing is hidden. So as you can see, these are the three properties that we've so far added to our container. So let's move forward. So the last property that will bring up the other three dots or the ellipsis that shows that there is more text to this description is the last step that we'll be adding. So get back to your VS Code and then add this property called text overflow. So text overflow will get a value of ellipsis. So come back to your browser and then refresh. So blah, as you can see, our text has now an ellipsis added to it at the very end. So as you can see, it's right here in our description. We've added these three dots. So what the text overflow property does is it determines how your text is going to be treated if at all it's overflowing, or if at all you have extra text that is going beyond your boundaries. So this also works similar to the overflow property, but just because these two are used hand in hand, first of all, to make sure that the text that is overflowing is hidden using the overflow property, and then that hidden text is being represented by an ellipsis. So that is when the text overflow ellipsis property comes in. I hope I'm not confusing you, but I'm going to try and make things a little bit simpler for you. But that is it. You can also head over to this page of W3 Schools. It's called CSS text overflow property, and you can also add W3 Schools at the end of what you'll be entering into your browser. So you'll be brought to this page, and then you also look at this property. So guys, we've been able to get rid of our too much text and make sure that it's first of all limited, and that the user can easily navigate through our table. So we're only having these, but just imagine you had a very long table of your items and you have these long descriptions. So once the user visits your site, they will be first of all overwhelmed by what they are seeing, and they might not be tempted to even move forward and navigate other areas of your site because they're already overwhelmed by the too much text. So this is one of the ways you can get rid of displaying too much text. But again, you'll find out that the user has got to get to know more about the description. So in other words, you can't just hide the text from the users. But then by then it won't make sense, and you wouldn't have reason enough to put the description there if your major aim was to hide it again. So you would want your users to have a clear view of this description and be able to read it. So what we can do is make sure that the user is able to see this description once they hover over it. So what we're going to add is a hover mechanism, or the hover property of this description will enable it to display the remaining text. So I'll jump right back into my VS Code. Just like you can add the hover property to any CSS class, that's what we shall be doing. So type your class again and then add this hover property. So once we hover over the description, first of all, we would want to change the cursor. So we shall change the cursor and make sure that it's it's a pointer. And then after that, we shall reset back the white space. So remember that if at all we give a description a CSS property of white space no more, this will mean that our text will now wrap to the next line where necessary. So after that, we shall also make sure that that the text that is overflowing is now visible. Sorry about that. This is overflow. So we shall make sure that it's now visible. So I went over all these properties and I'm now resetting them once the user hovers over any of this description. So once you do that, you can save and get back to our browser and then refresh. So once the user hovers over any of these descriptions, they'll be able to see the full description. So once the user, visits this page, first of all, they'll see the description and they will get to know that it's incomplete. So they'll be tempted to maybe start finding ways of making sure that they can see it. But just because you have this ellipsis, user can be tempted to hover over it and they will be able to read the entire description. And once they are done, they can hover back in this space and then they can continue to the next description and the next description. So guys, this is how you can treat your descriptions or your text once it's too much and you wouldn't want your users to run away from your website or to be offended by the too much text. Usually people hate reading and you should be aware of that. So some users come into or some users visit sites to get small bits of information and they wouldn't want to be overwhelmed. Like for example, if this was a site for movies, someone could be just interested in the title and not the description, or someone might be interested in the description and not the title, and vice versa. So you have to make sure that your site is really accessible and it does not offend the users in any way. So that is it, guys. Thanks for watching this video, and you can give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell icon so that you don't miss out on any videos that will be coming out. See you guys in the next video where I'll be presenting my next tip. Thanks, and see you soon.